Hey guys, and welcome to 2.3. In this lesson, we're going to talk about linear functions and slope. Let's get started. All right. First of all, you need to know that slope formula is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, otherwise known as difference of y's over difference of x's. All right. And it's represented with an m. Okay. Now, there's three different ways that you can write an equation of a line. First of all, you have the slope intercept form, and you have the standard form. So y equals mx plus b is slope intercept. That's the one you see the most often, and it's the easiest to graph because all the information is there. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Standard form, which is when x and y are on the same side, you have ax plus by equals c. You'll see that often too, not as often as the y equals mx plus b, but you'll see that too. And then point slope, I look at this as more of a means to an end. I don't ever choose to leave my equation in this form. But if you've got your slope and you've got a point, this is one way that you can plug everything in and simplify your signs and get something real quick. And in your homework, they your final answer is usually in either slope intercept form or standard form, but they usually want you to write it in point slope form, at least as a, I don't know, on your way to the last final product. So just keep that in mind. Also, when it comes to slope, if it's positive, right, anytime you read a graph, you read it left to right like a book. All right, so slope is, if it's positive, it's rising from left to right. If it's negative, it's falling from left to right. If the slope is zero, that means you have a horizontal line. And if it's undefined, then it means you have a vertical line. All right, so that's kind of the semantics of the lesson. Let's get into it. All right. So number one, uh, again, slope formula. It's my best friend. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1. You have x1, y1, x2, y2. And I would just follow the formula. So you got 4 minus 3, 6 minus negative 5. Two negatives make a positive. So these are going to switch the um, plus positive. So that's going to be 4 minus 3 on top. It's going to be 1. 6 plus 5 is 11. So my slope is going to be 1 over 11. And that's really all you have to do there. Okay. Next, before we get started with this, look at it. Right. It says 5 comma 3 and negative 7 comma 3. Right. Which means both of my y's are 3. Okay. Anytime your x's or your y's are the same in both points, that means either your top or your bottom is going to be 0, which is going to mean that your final answer is either going to be 0 or it's going to be undefined. Let's take a closer look at what this is going to do. All right, so 3 minus 3, negative 7 minus 5, you get 0, and then negative 12. All right, so if 0 is on the bottom or 0 is on the top, it really doesn't matter what's in the other spot. All right, in this case, 0 is on top, so I don't really care about the 12. The fact that 0 is on top means the whole fraction is going to 0. And here's why. Uh, if 0 is on top, that means you're asking the question, what times the number on the bottom is 0? Well, anything times 0 is 0, so that one's pretty straightforward. So this answer is going to be 0. Now, if it's in the other direction, where zeros on the bottom, you're asking the same question, but you obviously get a different answer. If the zeros on the bottom of the fraction, you're asking, so let's just say this is flipped. You would ask like, yourself, what times 0 is negative 12? Well, again, anything times 0 is 0. So there's nothing that works there. That's why it's undefined. So if this 3 minus 3 had been in the bottom, then this would have been undefined instead of 0. Okay, so that's that. Now, as we will with most of these problems, all right, we're trying to find the equation of a line. Okay, so let me do two things. First of all, let me show you point slope. So we have y minus uh, y1. So again, this is x1, y1. Okay, let's just see, y minus 3 um, equals 7, x minus negative 3. That's going to be x plus 3. If you were putting this into Pearson, you would go ahead and change that sign first. But I want to get this in slope intercept form. Okay, so this is going to be y minus 3 equals 7x. That's going to be plus 3. So let me go ahead and change that. Plus 3, that's going to be plus 21. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. That's y equals 7x plus 24. And that's it. That is it. Okay. Number 4, same thing. Um, but let me show you a different way to do it. I just showed you point slope. So y equals mx plus b is your equation of a line that I really want to use. All right, you have x and y. So that's going to be negative 4. You have your slope at negative 3. So it's going to be negative 3. Negative 9. That's b. Okay, b. So m is your slope. B is your y-intercept. So that's where you get the slope intercept form from. Okay, and so now I'm just going to solve for b. That's going to be negative 4 equals, it's going to be positive 27 B, subtract 27, you get negative 31. Right, once you have B, you already have slope. So y equals negative 3x minus 31. Right? That's literally all you're doing. It's not terrible at all. Okay. All right. This one says through the origin. Through the origin. Okay. The origin is 0, 0. It's where the x and y axis intersect. Okay. So here, going back to point slope, this is going to be y minus 0 equals 1/2 x minus 0. Well, that becomes real simple. The y minus 0, there's nothing there. So that's y equals, yeah, 1/2 x, and then minus 0, that's nothing. So anytime the origin is part of your equation, it makes things really simple. All right, so starting with number 3, we were given the slope to begin with. Now on number 6, they're not giving us the slope. They're giving us 2 points, which is just fine because we can use those 2 points to find the slope. Right, so it's going to be 4 minus negative 1, and then 2 minus negative 3. 4 minus negative 1, that's going to be 4 plus 1, so that's 5. And it's going to be 5. 2 minus negative 3, or 2 plus 3 is 5, so that's going to be 1. Okay, now that you have your slope, you just pick a point. All right, that's going to be, um, I don't like dealing with negatives. So although I use point slope, this is going to be y minus uh, negative 1. And this is going to be 1 times x minus negative 3. That's going to be y plus 1 equals x plus 3. Subtract the 1, y equals x plus 2. Y equals x plus 2. See? Not terrible. If they give you the 2 points, you got to solve for slope first. All right. And then you use either point slope or the method that we used in number 4 to go get it. Now, another scenario that you might see is that they give you, you have your x-intercept where the line crosses the x-axis and your y-intercept where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so these can be written as points. Change colors. These can be written as points. You have negative 3 over 4, comma 0. And this one would be 0, comma 3. Okay, again, once you have your 2 points, you can do your slope. So you can go straight to your slope formula or rewrite these as points and then go to your slope formula. But this is going to be 3 minus 0 over 0 minus negative 3/4. Okay, so it's going to be 3 over positive 3/4. Well, when you multiply, or sorry, when you divide by fractions, this is the same thing as, let me, 3 divided by 3/4, which is the same thing as 3 times 4/3. Okay, remember anything, any whole number is understood to be over 1. Right, so 3 is on top, and then I can get rid of these, and I'm just going to be left with 4. Okay, so it's going to be 4. And that's my slope. Well, the beautiful thing about this is they've already given me my y-intercept. It's 3. So I'm going to just write my equation out. Y equals, my slope is 4x plus 3. The hardest part was just to get my slope, but there's that. Okay. Number 8, again, I told you at the beginning that y equals mx plus b is the best way, is the best form when it comes to graphing, because you have your starting point, which is your y-intercept, and then you can use your slope to find your next point. You only need 2 points to graph any line. Sometimes Pearson will make you use 3, especially if you're doing the algebra part of it. By the way, when it comes to Pearson, if you struggle with they have graphing tools and some of the problems, and if you struggle with that, just reach out. I'd be happy to help you. When it comes to graphing, it doesn't have to be like this one on number 8. They gave it to you in slope intercept form, but they don't have to. They could give it to you in any form, and you can still graph it. All right. If they give it to you in any other form, you can still solve for y and get it back in this form. But there are other tricks that you could use, but that would probably be the most straightforward and easiest for you. Is just to go ahead and solve for y equals if it's not already there, and then graph it. All right. So here's what I'm talking about. I have uh, 5 is going to be my y-intercept, so that's going to be my starting point. Okay, and then slope. Slope is also rise over run. So I didn't include this earlier because we hadn't talked about graphs. But when it comes to graphs, this is how you represent slope. Y, rise over run. All right, difference of y's or difference of x's. That's where that comes from. Okay, so in this case, it says my slope is going to be 4. Well, remember, any whole number is understood to be over 1. So my slope is 4 over 1. Okay, that's helpful because now I need to find my second point. All right, but if I go up, that means it's going to uh, go off my graph here. So remember that when I read a graph, I read it from left to right. right? And the slope is positive, therefore it's going to go up from left to right. So if I'm going backwards here, I'm going to drop down 4, and I'm going to go left 1, right? So these are my 2 points. Well, I've already plotted my points. Now I'm going to connect the dots. And that's how you do that. Okay. It's really not that bad, guys. I promise you. Right. If you can get it in slope intercept form and you know how to manipulate, how to know where to start because you know your y-intercept, and you know how to manipulate your slope to get you your second point, it's not bad at all. Now, if one point on a line is 8, -4, and the line slope is 3, find the y-intercept. All right, this is where what we did on number 4 is really helpful because if you plug everything into y equals mx plus b that you currently know, you're already solving for b. So y equals mx plus b is the form we're going to use. All right, y is -4, slope is 3, x is 8, and I'm solving for b. And that's actually what I want. So once I get there, I'm done. Okay, so this is going to be -4 equals 24 plus b. Subtract 20 from both sides. That's going to be -28 equals b. And so my y-intercept is -28. That's what I wanted. All right, guys, that was 2.3. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'll see you in the next video.